This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Drink a lot of water and Pedialyte.
Men and women who are out trying to save homes while theirs has already been burned down. That's heroic.
My concern is that forever negotiation pattern may be the one that we're in.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Hey, what's cooking? We are. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster.
Drink a lot of water and Pedialyte.
Good advice there from a road worker out on the pavement in Washington, D.C. as our unwavering heat wave continues to keep things oppressive from the Midwest all the way to New England. People at Elmira, New York's outdoor Wisner Market braving the heat, telling WETM.
Very hot, very sweaty. Too hot today, farmer's market, yeah.
I'm just waiting to get out of here so I can go and set the pool up. Fill the pool up, get in the pool.
That sounds nice. New York Governor Kathy Hochul posting on Facebook asking folks to set their thermostats across New York State to 75 to 78 degrees because of the heat wave. Also asking people to dial back appliance use, turn off lights and electronics when you're not home. The governor says those small steps can prevent big power outages as the state works with power companies to reduce demand on the grid. Kevin Williams' forecast for your area coming up during this newscast. All this high heat ups the wildfire risk as well. In Colorado, crews are trying to tame the Aspen Acres fire, already the 12th largest that state's ever seen, consuming tens of thousands of acres, and it's 0% contained.
Efforts to fight the fire now being run by an incident management team out of Alaska. It's estimated around 125 buildings have burned. Nicole Griggs lost her home. Her family members are out fighting the flames as part of a volunteer fire department.
All these men and women who are out trying to save homes while theirs has already been burned down. That's heroic.
ABC's Alex Stone. Well, despite the heat wave, over 72 million Americans will be traveling over this 4th of July holiday period. If you're flying, today is the busiest day for it. FAA expecting to handle thousands more flights than a typical day, more than 52,000 total. Charges filed against ex-U.S. Olympic canoeist David Hearn for allegedly vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Janine Pirro, says this one stood out among other cases of vandalism and that it was witnessed by parks workers.
They have no agenda. They're just working there, and they are actually witnessing damage to a national monument. This is a case with tremendous evidence, and this is a case where the evidence dictates where we land.
Hearn is accused of damaging the newly renovated pool's liner on June 19th. Pirro says he faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted. The latest round of talks between the U.S. and Iran over. No big updates for you. Officials in Qatar say there was some positive progress in those talks in Doha. Negotiators for the two countries reportedly spent much of their time talking about the Strait of Hormuz and unfreezing Iranian funds. But former Defense Department official Mick Mulroy tells ABC the question of weapons inspection is huge.
It's important for the inspectors, and these are objective, internationally recognized experts in this area, to be able to see these facilities, to know what it is we're talking about. Is it recoverable? Is it there? I mean, there's a lot of things that they need to do to really set the parameters for that key part of the nuclear negotiations.
Retired Air Force Brigadier General John Tucker tells Fox News,
I don't think that they have any incentive, that they certainly are no different than how they started this war and the nature of the regime. And my concern is that forever negotiation pattern may be the one that we're in.
Talks are paused now as Iran begins several days of official mourning for its Grand Ayatollah killed in the war. A week after the double earthquakes in Venezuela, crews are still finding people alive. A security guard pulled from a collapsed shopping mall after 8 days. 12-year-old Carlos was rescued after 5 days. This is his cousin in Miami.
There's all this bittersweet feeling of happiness because he's alive, but also knowing there's people still there calling out for help.
Samaritan's Purse has opened up a 56-bed field hospital in one of the hardest hit areas.
Immediately upon opening our emergency department, we were flooded with patients. So many people that needed medical care but weren't able to receive it because of the hospital being overwhelmed. Most of the people that we've seen are ones that had trauma when the earthquake happened last week, and they definitely should have been treated at the time, but just the system was overwhelmed.
The Christian Relief Group posted this to Facebook last night.
We have so many people that are bringing in their own x-rays or splints with broken bones, people that have needed surgery and we're just waiting to have surgery. So many people that are unable to see their own doctor or have went to the hospital and their local hospital is destroyed. So they came here to seek care. We've been able to pray for almost all of our patients. We've just been welcomed by the community.
Last week, 2 massive earthquakes brought hundreds of buildings to the ground, left thousands in need of medical care. You can get involved in the aid efforts of Samaritan's Purse and other Christian relief groups in Venezuela by heading to our website, familylife.org/relief. Still to come here on the 5 o'clock report, a recap of our top regional stories and reaction to this week's Supreme Court ruling on so-called transgender athletes. First, weather with Kevin.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, you certainly don't need me to tell you it's been hot and humid, but I'll tell you it's going to stay hot and humid for a little while longer. A cool front, a weak front, will come through tomorrow afternoon, evening. It'll spark some thunderstorms, and in its wake, there'll be slight heat and humidity relief for this Independence Day weekend. Here are the forecast details. There'll be a thunderstorm in parts of the area this evening, but otherwise it'll be moonlit tonight, balmy, with low temps in the 70s. Tomorrow, a fair amount of sunshine. Then we'll have some thunderstorms. Later in the afternoon into the night, they could be feisty. High temps tomorrow into the 90s, so another steamy day. On Saturday, Independence Day, not quite as warm, not quite as humid. Variable clouds, some sun, couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms. High temperatures Saturday 80s and lower 90s, partly sunny on Sunday.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories now, making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania State Police in mourning today after a trooper was killed in the line of duty last night. Governor Josh Shapiro.
Today is a horrible reminder of the service and the sacrifice that they devote to this Commonwealth every single day.
44-year-old veteran trooper Mike Behara was inspecting a tractor trailer when a second tractor trailer veered off the road, crashing into the trooper's car and the vehicle he was inspecting. He died a short time later at Lehigh Valley Hospital. Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens is the acting commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police.
The man died a hero. He was an outstanding trooper, an excellent motor carrier enforcement officer, had been doing it for a number of years and was considered to be one of our best.
Governor Shapiro has ordered all Commonwealth flags to fly at half-staff until Trooper Behara is laid to rest. Binghamton, New York police clearing out the Knights Inn encampment downtown. It popped up after a fire there killed 6 people. Family Life's Sarah Harnish explains.
Last night, police cleared what they called a coordinated encampment of tents, tables, and temporary structures 9 days after the Knights Inn fire. They say they gave protesters 36 hours notice that they'd be in to sweep the property. Organizers streamed the teardown on Facebook. They say they had planned to stay until officials recognized the need for affordable housing for low-income residents in Broome County. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Thank you, Sarah. Back to PA, a large fire is burning at a power station on the eastern border of the city of Gettysburg. Officials say the blaze has been going at Adams County Power Station since this morning after a transformer caught fire. WHTM's Mallory Metzner.
Sending dark smoke up into the sky. A transformer outside of the plant caught fire this morning. Crews responded after 7 this morning. They came from Adams and Cumberland counties as well as Franklin and Carroll counties in Maryland.
Adams County Director of Emergency Services Warren Bladen says it's incredible what fire teams have done fighting not only those flames but the hottest day of the year so far.
Incredible job. I mean, it's tough to put all that gear on in these conditions and fight fire, but no one backed down. They stood up and did the job. I appreciate them.
No one at risk, but the fire is still burning. Thousands of fireworks have been recalled nationwide ahead of July 4th. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says 87,000 Unity 7-shot 200-gram aerial cake fireworks were recalled because they can tip over, posing a risk of serious injury and burns. You can recognize them because the word Unity is in a huge font right on the outside of the box. While we're on the topic, the Gettsville, New York Fire Department offering some safety tips if you plan to shoot off fireworks at home this weekend.
Make sure you water down the area that you're going to be using the fireworks ahead of time. Have a flat surface, maybe some pavers or a wet piece of board that you're launching from, and have a hose or a bucket with water ready in case anything were to tip over or you start seeing some smoldering grass or shrubbery.
David Morales with the Gettsville Fire Company tells WGRZ related calls happen when people just don't take safety precautions. He says they see a lot of injuries each year, especially from sparklers.
Kids like to wave it around, spell their name, make shapes. If that were to catch the next kid in the face or a piece broke off and fell on an open skin, that's going to be a trip to the hospital.
The only legal fireworks for home use in New York State are ground-based, meaning they don't shoot up into the air. Up next, a conversation about a key U.S. Supreme Court ruling this week on so-called transgender athletes in girls' sports. The justices decided Tuesday that states have the right to ban biological boys from female athletics. Alliance Defending Freedom's Chelsea Yeoman spoke recently to our Sarah Harnish about exactly what Tuesday's High Court ruling means.
Schools are allowed to separate sports and private spaces and locker rooms and bathrooms based on biological sex. Boys do not belong in women's restrooms or locker rooms and vice versa. Those laws were challenged and we appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court. 27 states in lockstep also passed similar laws to protect our most sacred spaces from people of the opposite sex coming in, and those laws were upheld. We are very excited to see that under the 14th Amendment, states can say there's a distinction between men and women biologically. Those distinctions are real physically, and that girls can be protected from what our clients underwent, which were things like harassment in the locker room, having to share beds with boys of the opposite sex on sporting events and trips, and of course our athletes who have been displaced. They've lost medals, they've lost championships by the thousands to boys competing in their sports, and all of that ends. What this means is historically in the United States of America, for the first time, we can really stand by these laws, and we want the 22 states who have not yet passed these types of protections to move. But this goes so much more beyond sports because it allows states to define what a woman is. It stops the erasure of women and girls, and it's more than just competition and allowing them to be victorious, which is really important actually to send that message to women and girls. There are two biological sexes and that is good. It's okay that we're distinct but equal under the Equal Protection Clause, and I love that.
It was a witty legal strategy because basically what it does is it puts the power back in the hands of the states, which is exactly what the court ruled with Roe versus Wade on the issue of abortion. The states have the right, which is why West Virginia and Idaho and these 25 other states, 27 in total, now have banned transgender athletes in sports. What happens now in the trans sports world? Where do they go from this?
Well, it has been waiting on this for the states that have acted to protect women's sports and locker rooms. So those laws are in effect and have been upheld. And so any of those lower court rulings that have held otherwise, those are nullified essentially by the Supreme Court ruling. And in the 22 states that do not choose to allow for those distinctions in sport, I think there will continue to be, unfortunately, and I hope this isn't true, but there will continue to be challenges for girls. Girls are the ones hurt by this, and I mean physically hurt. There are safety concerns. We've had women and clients, if you look up their testimonies, who've been knocked unconscious, who've been serious injured, lost cognitive function. We've had clients who are sexually harassed in their locker rooms. Unfortunately, those are very real scenarios, and I hope that everyone can take a look around and say it's time to wake up. After a ruling like this, let the grown-ups be the grown-ups in the room. Schools should be in the business of caring for these children instead of indoctrinating them.
That's Chelsea Yeoman with Alliance Defending Freedom on this week's 6-3 decision from the U.S. Supreme Court upholding states' rights to ban so-called transgender athletes from girls' sports. There are 27 such states. 22 others, including New York and PA, permit biological boys in female athletics. A reminder, you can hear all of our Family Life original news features at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and FamilyLife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Should Christians co-sign a loan? Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. Scripture doesn't forbid it outright, but it offers strong caution. Proverbs 17:18 says, "One who lacks sense gives a pledge and puts up security for his neighbor." And Proverbs 22 warns that even your bed could be taken if you can't repay. Co-signing means taking full responsibility for someone else's debt. It can damage your finances and strain your relationship. In fact, 4 out of 10 co-signers end up repaying the loan themselves. That doesn't mean you can't help, but be wise. wise. If co-signing would limit your ability to be generous or care for your family, it may not be the best way to serve. Sometimes the loving choice is saying no and offering support in a way that protects your ability to steward what God has entrusted to you. Get biblical answers to your financial questions in the Faith Fi community. Download Faith Fi, Faith and Finance in your app store or visit faithfi.com.
Thank you, Rob. Finally at 5, the World Cup soccer tournament has brought a lot of soccer or football fans to the United States for the first time. A chance for folks in host cities to maybe change some negative views about us. One such case involves a German fan named Sebastian, who's become a bit of a social media darling for sharing his first-time experience of life in these United States while following the German national team. When Sebastian and his friends needed a way back to their hotel, they met a local guy in Boston named Bob who, without expecting anything in return, offered to give them a ride. That simple act of generosity completely changed Sebastian's perspective.
To be honest, I was a bit scared or had the fear to travel to the United States. News about shootings and criminals and that the country is not safe. To me, I watched the video by myself maybe 40 times. I had tears in my eyes. Americans are not rude. Germans are not rude. If we are together, we can achieve great things.
Sehr gut, Sebastian, sehr gut. And that's the world we live in for Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.